Hi, if I told you had a story to be heard, would you tell it? Better yet, if you knew that you could help someone with hope or inspiration, would you share it? Hi, I'm Christine Hotchkiss, and just like our fingerprints, I believe our stories are unique and they take us on the path in which we are traveling. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Today, my guest is Laura, and she's going to talk about dementia. I personally don't have anyone in my life that I have to deal with the feelings that I have seen so many times with people on social media about the, the heart that gets broken. So today, I would love to share with you the journey of dementia, and perhaps it'll help you. So, hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about your mom.
My mom is 89 now. She is living back at home. She's on 24-hour care right now, but prior to that, she's been diagnosed with dementia over 10 years now, 10 plus years.
What's her name?
Her name is Nellie,
Okay.
and to me, she goes by Mama Gem,
Of course.
my diamond.
Yeah.
And there was 9 of us.
Okay.
2 have since deceased.
That's all right.
And so now there's only 7 living in poverty back at home. She was a single parent raising us, and so doing it all alone. She was always just kind of very strong woman, always behind us, making sure we were staying out of trouble, being in the place that we were living in, the drugs, just the drugs and the gangs.
So the environment was kind
It
of...
was just horrible, but we survived it. She made sure, kept trying to keep us away from all that, and look at us now. We've all grown up, gotten married. Everyone's gone their separate ways and done things. I now live here in Arizona. My mom still lives out in California.
Oh, she does. I did not know that by your
So
post.
so I don't see her as often as I love to. As soon as she started to lose her memory, the girls started to tell me, my sisters, because they were all starting to care for her. And with time, she just started to decline, and to the point where they had to watch her 24/7. She requires 24-hour round-the-clock care.
So is it in-home health or is she in a facility?
No, she's at home, and the girls won't put her in it. We decided that that's not what we want, because I've seen a lot of statistics and a lot of families that put their parents in the home, and they decline rapidly, and maybe 2, 3, 5 months or a year, and they're gone. And we've had my mom with it for over 10 years, and we all decided that it was something we weren't going to do. Realized that she took care of us all our lives. It's time for us to get back to her. So
It's interesting. I actually worked in a facility for behavioral health and facility of nursing, and you're right. Once they got in there, the families would think that someone else could take care of them because it was too much for them to take
Right.
on. They declined rather rapidly because that wasn't the environment in which they felt was their home after being where they've been for
Absolutely.
years. Yeah, I know of a gal that I used to call my Nana. She was put in a facility, and I unfortunately don't know where she's at because of the family not allowing me to stay in touch. But I know that she was so independent at her 94 year of age,
Right.
and she'd been in her home for so many years. And it's, yeah, you take them away from that, and that's not the quality of life. That's not the quality of living for them.
it isn't, and I know that for a fact because she's still living with us. She's still strong. She's still eating. I mean, she's declining in her house. She's more fragile than she's ever been, constantly falling. And so, other than that, because of her age, she's still strong. She's still pretty resilient, and she's a feisty little woman. She is, and she it's just been hard for us when we, over time, it started off where she would start forgetting things and forgetting where things were left, and I wasn't around so much, but I would get reports from my sisters, and they decided that they were all going to work together and take turns watching her, and any chance that I got, I would go out there and relieve them of their duties so that they can get some rest, because having dementia, and not only the patient or the person with the disease, but the caregiver goes through it's just crazy what they go through. It's emotionally, mentally, physically very strenuous, and the dementia affects the brain. and they don't know what they're doing. And they become nasty and ugly.
Really?
Very ugly and very nasty, and they start to forget about their family and their surroundings. And in the beginning, it's who are you, and then another second they know who you are. And this is in the beginning stages of dementia. And as time progresses, their minds it just starts to erase. So they can remember in the beginning, and they still do. The long-term memory, they remember. And they can talk about it from time to time, and it'll come up. But short-term memory, they don't have any of it. They don't know their families. They don't know their children. But it's funny how they know their mothers.
Really?
And they know their sisters.
Huh.
And they know sometimes their husbands. And they don't know their children, though. So they don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know at what point dementia blocks their memory.
So have you ever seen the movie 50 First Dates?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So
Oh, I have.
So is it
have.
kind of like that, where the person has to reintroduce
Yes.
themselves every single time they're around?
Not introduce themselves anymore the way 51 Dates would, because then she still has, or that person still had that memory. As long as that person was with them, they were talking and going through,
The emotion?
well, they were talking, and that person in the movie that you're talking about, as long as they were there with them, they continued to be able to talk to them and know who they were. Us, on the other hand, I can say, Mom, I'm Laura. And this is during the times that they started forgetting about us. Then I would turn around and I'm like, hey, Mom, who are you?
Oh.
And so it just wipes their memory. And then when you do ask them, same thing. They just don't remember.
So that's kind of like, well, and then there's another movie, The Notebook. That one breaks my heart, but I love watching it.
That's
every
my favorite
time.
movie.
Mine too.
My favorite movie.
I think the men like that one too, but they don't admit it.
Absolutely.
But it's the real lives that are in a movie, but you're living the real life of it. When did you start realizing that she had dementia? Did she happen to fall or have some illness that took place where the brain got jostled?
Nope.
No.
It just affects. It just starts gradually and slowly and just creeps up on them. One moment they'll remember something, the next minute they won't. And we started to realize when I would walk outside and go somewhere and I'd come back, she goes, I haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, Mom,
Yeah, you can't
Mom,
go
I
there.
just saw you right now. And so it was hard for us, because then she would sit there and look at us and look puzzled. And then she wanted to grasp and wanted to pull it from her memory bank. And she'd look at me, she goes, did I? And I'm like, no, Mom, it's okay. And we started realizing it was happening more and more and just too frequent. And realized that that's what was happening to her and going. So what we do now is we just play into her, and we just kind of, because her memory, she doesn't know from one moment to another, we just have to restart.
It's never going to go back. So you just have accepted it's the first time every single time.
Yep. So she doesn't know me anymore. Once in a blue moon, she'll remember. She'll talk about her daughters. She'll talk about me. Towards the middle part of their dementia, she went back to us being children.
Oh.
And then teenagers.
Well, it sounds like those were significant times in her life that she actually cherishes.
Well, cherish, as well as my sister and I were the two youngest, and we were two terrible girls, through our teens. And so she remembers, and she would remember, and she'll say, I'm waiting for the girls to come home. They're not home yet. And we would have to just play into it. And it wouldn't be me she's talking about. I'm like, Mom, they're out. They're at your sister. They're at your daughter's house right now. They're fine. No, I have to stay up for them all night long because they're out and they haven't come home. And it was interesting. My sisters would say, see, you traumatized Mom.
Oh, I wouldn't say traumatized.
She only remember those times.
Well, maybe you did.
So,
but it was a caring endearment to stay up, that only you knew what you were doing, that Mom didn't really know why you weren't coming home. So it was the care.
I wasn't doing anything bad. I just was not coming home at the time I should have.
I think we're all guilty of doing something foolish when we were young. Right? I tell my son all the time, I know what you're doing, but I didn't always. So if he ever sees this, it's not mattering. He's 25 years old. But I did tell him, after I'd seen your post and another friend of mine, I noticed that she's going through this with her dad, it made me call my son up and say, Now, mind you, he's 25. Austin, if I ever lose my memory because I don't know what's going to happen, I don't have any prediction, I don't want you to get frustrated with me if I happen to get you frustrated about something that I will not remember. I
Yeah.
want you to remember me for who I was when I did remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a little saying that dementia, I can't remember it quite well, but I tell my children that because it's in the family and they said it's hereditary. It can skip a person or a generation, so we don't know until it starts to happen to us. I've already talked to my children about it and they're like, Mom, we'll take care of it. And it's funny because I tell them, I don't want to be watched by that daughter. Don't leave me with that one. Please don't leave me with that one. But I have told them that just know if you guys, know that if I don't know you, know that I always will and I always have loved you, and that, deep inside that brain and deep behind that dementia, I still love you, and I know my mom still loves us.
Right.
And if that disease weren't to be where it is now, she would hug us and hold us and just love on us. But dementia's awful. It's really ugly. And now that she's declined so much, she requires 24-hour care. I had a mental breakdown the last time I went out there about 3 years ago, and I watched her. It was crazy. I had not seen her because I live here. And so when I went, I said, I'll watch her. We have to put bells and chains and pots and pans to dangle to make her, so we hear her when she's getting up, because they stay up at all hours in the night. They don't sleep. Their mind is going at 100 miles an hour, and they don't know where they're at, even if it's in their own home. They want to go home, and they want to go home, and we keep saying you are home, but you have to just play into it. In dementia, you have to learn to just say, okay, and then we'll take her for a little walk, let her walk, and then bring her right back in the door. And that was at the point where it was just the stubborn stage. And now she's up every night, all night long, 3 days, sometimes up to 3 days straight, just constant battling with her mind, and her mind's just...
So what is she doing when she's up? I mean, does she have any crafts or anything that she likes to do?
Nothing.
Watch TV?
They can't. They're not. Their focus is not there anymore. They'll watch it for a second. They're just constant everywhere. So it depends on the person. My mom, when she started towards the middle part of her dementia, in the middle stages of her dementia, we had a burgundy rug in her house, and she would sit there and pick at all the lint and all for hours and hours and hours.
So focused on that, but not a television
and nothing
show.
else. And she was focused. She thought they were fleas. And then she would get her clothes and sweaters, and she'd be picking and just pulling at your clothes. Oh, you have bugs, and it was just constant.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't a very pretty sight to watch her do that. And now she'll get up and move around and move things and hide things. And in the beginning, she was losing her keys and losing her stuff. Then at some point, at one of the stages of her dementia, she will start taking things. Everything's hers. Everything belongs to her. And she'll get feisty and ugly, and she'll start hiding and stealing. And I wouldn't say she would. This is mine. And she'll take your watch, or she'll take whatever lied around and go hide it so well. Didn't even know where it was at later. And our keys, we would have to put them away, store them up.
I laugh with no disrespect. It's like a little kid who's saying, haha, you're going to have to try and find it. I don't mean any disrespect in my his, because I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Everything, our purse, our belongings, our jackets, anything to take. And if she sees clothes on you, those are my shoes, she had a thing about blankets and everywhere. So we would come over to stay at her house. We'd bring our own blankets, and she would go and fold them and put them there and start carrying. And she'll start walking to the car. To the door of her house. I'm leaving now. I gotta go, with about 4 blankets with her, walking out the door. We're like, Mom,
We
come
need our blankets back.
come back here. But the nights are the worst when we're trying to put her to bed. This last 3 weeks ago that I went, I had her, and I told my sister, why don't you just take a break? I will watch my mom. So I put a mat on the floor next to her, because they get up at all times, so you have to constantly be in their vicinity, and you have to sleep light because they will get up and leave and walk out the door. We've lost her a couple times on the street.
That's the silver alert that we hear about. When
Yeah.
you hear silver alert, it's someone who is a senior that has actually gotten away
Yeah.
from their home. Okay.
And so we've had the police officers come back and pick them up. One night she was walking all night for a couple hours, ended up miles all night long the
Where
next
did
morning.
she say she was going?
We didn't know she left because she was sleeping. This is in the beginning when we started realizing she was just getting up and leaving. So we would fall asleep, put her to sleep, think we're good, but then we started realizing she was taking off. So then that's when the bells and the doors, and then she went. And then they're pretty smart. Even though their mind's not completely there, they knew that, hey, and they would get a broomstick or whatever and just kick it off. And
This reminds me of when my son, when he was really little, I would have the locks, 2 sets of locks and a slide. I felt like I was locking myself in. And I'll be darned, in the middle of the night, he would sleepwalk and he would get in a chair and he would unlock the door. And I caught him one time with the door open. I was like, how did you do that? He was only 4.
Right.
So now I'm thinking of a 4-year-old with what you're saying as far as keeping everything locked tight.
Absolutely. They have no filter as far as, they don't know what's hazardous anymore. The stove can be a danger to her. She'll turn on the gas stove and leave it on without igniting all.
So the senses aren't there.
Nothing. Nothing's there. Everything is. The other day she was playing with the stove. She didn't know that my sister, she had just cooked, and she touched them, and she didn't even move. She didn't budge.
Oh my goodness.
And so, yeah, the sensors are not there anymore. And so that night that happened, and I put her to bed, and I covered her, and I left her laying on the couch because we were at my daughter's house, and not at her home. And she started kicking me and punching me.
Your mom was kicking you?
Oh, they, yes.
So it's a physical.
Yes, it's very physical, and they'll hurt you, and they'll get anything. And this is why a lot of families decide that they
Put their loved ones in a care home
because
where
they
someone else
can't.
can take care of it because they can't do it anymore.
Yep. And we decided we can't. We don't want to because we just don't want her there. But it's hard. And so my sister is handicapped. She has severe rheumatoid arthritis and crippled, and she watches her 24/7.
Oh, wow, I commend her.
And so that night it was awful. I didn't sleep for over 48 hours watching her and just keeping her. And the hard part about it is the soiling in the pants now. And this is again why so many families just can't do it anymore. Constant soiling in their pants and boat 1 and 2, and just
And
constant
nothing.
cleaning and constant. And just a constant abuse of the verbal abuse from them. They will yell at you and call you names.
But you've learned to know that that's not something they're actually doing on a conscious level.
Yeah.
So that actually has to put you to I don't like this word, patience.
Yeah.
It puts you a different level of having to be patient and understanding that this is not Mom, this is what has happened and it's never going to be reversed.
No, but it is hard. The caretaker takes the brunt of it.
Of course.
The caretaker, in those 48 hours that I had her, I was exhausted. I was completely and utterly exhausted. And mentally, physically, emotionally, she called me names that no mom would ever or should never call her daughter. She told me she don't know who I am, and who do you think you are, and just bad words here and there, and something she never used before, but I don't know how it plagues them, but it causes them to be ugly.
That's unfortunate.
If you don't give them what they want, they will attack you.
To get it.
Yes.
So, for our viewers, what could you share with anyone who's just becoming a part of the dementia, as far as patience or caregiving? There is a personal choice as to where your loved one goes. That's always something I feel.
I would say because we have the family that we're doing this, we decided to take it all on our own. My sisters especially, my one sister mostly, but You have to be very resilient, and you have to be very, very patient. And you also have to know that who they were once will no longer be. And you have to understand that what they're doing now is not really them. It's that disease. It's not them. They're just...
Do you think there's a cure, or is that just one of those things? You
I
see all
don't-
these different things saying there's a cure for this. Has it ever been a thought that we can change the chemical of the brain?
Yeah, they're
don't
still
know.
working on it. I know they're giving them all these different medications, and some are hurting them and causing them more damage than others. They also doing that, what is that, marijuana?
CBD oil?
CBD oil, but they do it in pill form and all kinds of different forms. And we just haven't done it really with my mother, but they have been talking to the doctors, and just,
So
you
how-
do have to be patient, and you have to have support from your family, friends, loved ones, and it's a 24-hour care. And if you can't, then
Then a care home is an alternative, or someone to come into the home if
absolutely
you can't do it.
find resources.
How is your mom's health other than that?
Good.
Really?
She's good, other than she's fragile. She used to have, high blood pressure and arthritis, but none of that, because she can't even tell us what she's feeling anymore. She can't even tell us if she has a headache. She can't even tell if it's her her heart or her legs, or if she has fever, or she's just congested, and we just have to watch.
Does she walk around normally? I mean, is she unable to walk around?
She is. Most dementia patients, after a while, are immobile, and they're just in bed, and a lot of them stop speaking, and they just live a silent life, and then they pass away. But my mom, she's always been so resilient, so strong, such a strong lady, that we all say she's going to outlive all of us, and we're
I
like,
probably will too with my son. I tell him all the time, I'm stubborn. I might outlive you.
dementia is no joke.
No.
Dementia, I would not wish it on anyone at all. And there are so many different diseases, so many different...
Would you say there's any resources for people that don't know that there's some out there?
I don't know. I understand there is. There's a lot of resources for one to go out and help. They have caregivers that come into the home. It depends on how severe, the severity of the dementia, but is that. They come and they'll cook her meals, or they will come and give her medication, and some will stay 24 hours, but a lot of these resources are very, very hard to find, and you have to really, really do your homework. And some places may have it, and other places may not. Where she's living, they don't have it. Had she been living maybe an hour from where she is, she'd have all these other different kind of resources. So they've tried everything, and right now at this point, they've just taken on the full work of taking care of her, with no help from anyone, which is very hard and struggling. It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. I've seen cancer of all sorts, and this one here, they live in a bubble. They live in a cell
Within themselves?
within themselves,
Okay.
and they have no control of their mind, and they're lost in there.
So you'll have to learn the patience and just do your best to keep them.
And they love to talk. And you just have to learn to listen and just just validate them.
Okay.
Because they will repeat themselves. And they'll say the same story over and over 100 times. So it does get very exhausting. But you just have to have that love and that peace, and it's not for everyone. It isn't for everyone.
I hope I don't do that to my son or anyone around me.
Yeah. And being that myself, I always wanted to be a nurse growing up. And then I found out I couldn't be, because I can't see blood. I can't see a cut. I faint. I can't see people getting, I just can't see any of it. I just can't see guts. I can't see nothing. When I'm going down the street and I see an animal on the street, a dog or something dead, I have to turn this way and keep driving. So when my mom soils, I'm just...
You're not able to help her there too.
I do, but I'm in complete and I do it only because she's my mother, but it mentally and emotionally just drains me.
So, and you said mom's name is Nellie?
Nellie.
All right. Well, we love Nellie. The last question I love to ask people, because we don't really think about it in our day-to-day things and the things that happen to us or around us. What would you, when your days are done, I call it a legacy, because it's something that it's the last thing you're going to be remembered for. What would you like to be remembered for when your days are done?
I, myself, at one point I wanted something else, but I realize now my purpose in life is to help others, to be of service to others, and to know that I made a difference or an impact in someone's life. And at this point, it's not about a career for me. It's not about material things for me. It's about peace with God, because that's where I'm going, and fulfilling His purpose in life, and just saving as many people and letting as many people know that Jesus is here, and I want to save everyone. I want to save the world.
And your grandbabies that you were telling me about before, you're taking them to church and teaching them as well. So good for you.
Teaching them about Jesus. They didn't know Jesus before this, and I'm going to make sure that before I leave this earth, all my children know.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Laura. It really, you enlightened me quite a bit, and I hope that she was able to enlighten anyone else out there. If you don't know anything about dementia, she shared a little bit or a lot about what she's going through. So, as I always say, these just get better and better. So come back for the next episode. And until next time, take care.